Were 1980s cartoons actually good, or were they just half-packaged commercials for toy lines? Hasbro has opened my eyes knowing that what they do, they don't really give a shit about anything else except making money. Especially with all their dealings recently with Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons. I want to see if all of these shows were just programmed nostalgia to my stupid 6-year-old brain so that Hasbro could convince me to yell and scream at my parents so they could buy me the extra special edition Michelangelo at Walmart, or if these shows actually were good. So I'm going to be talking about 2 series that I feel like were a little bit rushed and mostly made to sell toys. And then I'm going to be talking about a series that I feel like had the time and energy put into it until season 2 came around and then corporate greed took over. We're going to first talk about the infamous Transformers. No, not the Michael Bay one. Get that shit out of here. This one, you know, the one where Optimus Prime dies and left us all traumatized as kids? That one. More specifically, we're just going to be looking at episode 1. It starts off with an ominous voice telling us that the Transformers were here millions of years ago.
Many millions of years ago, on the planet Cybertron, life existed, but not life as we know it today.
He really sounds like something from Twilight Zone, and I honestly can see that based off of how this episode goes. Well, at least for people, because it'd be pretty terrifying.
But the brutal Decepticons were driven by a single goal: total domination. They set out to destroy the peace-loving Autobots, and a war between the forces of good and evil raged across Cybertron.
I know it's a 1980s kids show, but the way that this narrator is trying to present the Autobots and force us to basically believe that they are good guys makes me feel much distrust towards these Autobots. So we meet Bumblebee and Wheeljack, who are gathering. You know, gathering. They're stealing. They're stealing resources. But obviously the execs can't have that in here, so they're just gathering. From our knowledge, the Autobots and Decepticons are in a huge civil war, and specifically the Autobots are extremely persecuted and are on the verge of extinction. So naturally, Wheeljack and Bumblebee take the main road, in which they get instantly ambushed by Decepticons.
Autobots, stop them!
Bumblebee says this line.
Prime told me there'd be days like this. And you didn't believe him? I do now.
Which makes me inclined to believe that Optimus Prime threw him in this mission with no experience at all. You know, one of the most important missions so that they can get off of this rock. Kind of like how I was left to man a deli for 2 whole working days after it being my first couple days on the job. And also, my first real job. People were placing bets I would leave. I didn't, because no one else would hire me. Anyways, that was very irresponsible, Optimus. Very irresponsible. I'm very disappointed.
You all right?
Yeah, I think it's my rear axle.
Oh, wait. These guys have axles? They don't even have wheels. Yeah, these guys don't have wheels. How the fuck do they have an axle? I feel like they just threw that in there. They finally go underground after the Bumblebee gets injured, and they return to their base, which is a giant golden dome with a glass ceiling. These guys are supposed to be hiding. Why the fuck is this their base? Naturally, Soundwave spies on them and transforms in front of Jazz, who does not even notice him. Second thought, these are Transformers. How do they not know some Transformers can transform into objects that are around their base? I feel like that would be very vital information to have. I'm surprised the Decepticons have not killed them yet. You know how they have a glass ceiling? Well, he also uses Laserbeak to, look through that glass ceiling, as one does when one flies, which is most of the Decepticons. Did the Autobots really not think this through? Did they not think this would happen? These guys are so stupid. So we learned that if there's no new supply of energy found, pretty much everybody's probably going to die.
Unless a new supply of energy is found, nobody is going to win this war.
Soundwave reports back to Megatron that the Autobots are trying to find a new source of energy so they can survive. Megatron wants in on this action too, so he tells Shockwave to watch over Cybertron while he is gone.
You are to stay behind. I entrust Cybertron to you, Shockwave.
Fear not, Megatron. Cybertron shall remain as you leave it.
Excellent.
And let me tell you this, Shockwave is the GOAT. This dude, spoilers, this dude stays on Cybertron for 4 million years and protects it. That is loyalty right there. That is what that's what I need in a partner. I need a Shockwave. Starscream, you know, the annoying one, is actively plotting in front of Megatron, who clearly doesn't believe that any of it's real and just probably keeps him around for laughs.
The Autobots would have lost eons ago if I'd been calling the shots. Starscream. Only a select few ever leave.
But he's also always mad at Starscream every time he brings it up instead of laughing at him.
My time will come, Megatron. Never. Never!
But eventually Starscream does, and some more spoilers, he does eventually take over. And then he, like, instantly dies, and then turns into a ghost? It's been a really long time since I've seen this. Like, the Autobots launch into space, and the Decepticons go after them. They run into some colliding meteors, and instead of using their extremely powerful laser to stop it immediately, they wait until half their crew is unbalanced and damaged to even work the laser. But eventually they get it going, and Megatron says this very, very thought-provoking line of,
Follow them! Follow them!
which you are doing, so I don't know why you're saying that. It just puts in a little bit more spice about Megatron's character, telling people to do things they're already doing. I feel like working for the Decepticons is very much like working for my customer service jobs. You know, you get left alone for 4 million years, you get constantly mocked by the boss, and he also tells you to do things that you're already currently doing, and he can clearly see that you are doing. The Decepticons finally board the Autobots, and we get this amazing 5-second battle of the Decepticons and Autobots throwing each other around. Instead of using their guns, which they clearly have, they'd rather pro-wrestle it for now. They get stuck in Earth's gravitational field.
We're out of control!
Which is very surprising because after 5 seconds of battle, so Cybertron is 4.37 light years away from Earth's solar system. They traveled 770 trillion miles per hour in 2 seconds. That is insane. I'm surprised anything survived that crash. I'm surprised Earth survived that crash. So they pass out on the ship, and they are basically dead for 4 million years until a volcano erupts and, well, betrays the Autobots by instantly choosing it chooses where it's going to point its beam and fixes a Decepticon. I'm also curious about how the military didn't notice this obvious UFO that has been scanning their cars and ships. They didn't do anything about it. It's like nobody pays attention enough to care in this universe. So Starscream decides to shoot the mountain even though Megatron told him to save his energy.
Starscream! I'm just saying goodbye! Save your energy! The Autobots have taken their last flight. Thanks for the ride, Prime.
Because Starscream is a little bit petty and pretty annoying, as you can tell. And in doing so, he inevitably causes Optimus Prime to fall over right into the beam's exact position due to an avalanche. So, thanks, Starscream, you know. Good job. Starscream is ordered to build a base, and he then complains about the base because he doesn't know where any materials are. So he asks Soundwave if he has any ideas, and Soundwave just points over to a very close by power plant, I think. I can't really tell. Like, get it together, Starscream. Like, Soundwave was ordered to build a ship to get you all back to Cybertron. Soundwave is putting in more effort, and he's putting in one of his little dudes to help you. Like, come on. Let's give Soundwave credit where credit is due. Soundwave is basically doing all the work. So Cliffjumper and Hound are sent to go spy on the Decepticons, in which everybody is telling Cliffjumper not to do anything rash.
I want to boot some Decepticon right in his turbocharger.
Easy, Cliffjumper. Just find them. We'll deal with them later.
Let's get down there and bend some metal.
Ease off your throttle, Cliffjumper. Remember what Prime said, just find them.
But he decides to do it anyways, claiming that he has the perfect shot on Megatron.
Cliffjumper, what are you doing?
I've got Megatron dead center in my viewfinder.
And what a surprise, he misses. And gives away his position, gives away the fact that the Autobots are alive, paralyzes his friend.
Can you transform?
I don't think so.
And nobody calls him out for it. Hound is like, he's all fine and dandy with it mostly. Just like, oh, I sprained my wrist, but, you know, I can't transform or really move.
I shouldn't have fired on Megatron.
You shouldn't have missed, you mean?
Huh? Yeah, right!
Even if I could theoretically be healed from that in a matter of hours, I'd still be pretty pissed off. We get this sequence where the Autobots have their name set and they transform as soon as they say it, you know, to sell more toys.
Pow! Jailbreaker! Wheeljack!
And they somehow know where the Decepticons are going to hit next, even before the Decepticons even know where they're going to hit.
Let's roll.
They chase down the Decepticons to this water power plant, where the Decepticons go there and instantly just kill 5 people with a giant metal pipe.
Look! Up there! What is it?
What are they?
Everybody, come on! Come on!
Megatron turns into a gun, even though Megatron is an absolute terrifying beast with just his arm cannon, because the gun doesn't do anything. The arm cannon destroys the whole power plant. Brings me to another point. Optimus Prime couldn't lift that giant metal bar, even though we just saw Megatron throw this just as big of a pipe at these people. Optimus Prime, you're a weak bitch. Overall, it's not a bad plot or story. It's just, you know, rushed. Like, the animation is rushed because it was the 80s and they had to hand draw this. The writing feels a bit rushed and, you know, like they had to keep it, like, suspenseful at times. So I totally understand some of it. It's just really silly to me. Next, we have this absolute wild episode of Further Adventures of G.I. Joe. No, I didn't mistake this for the original series. Find out that many of the characters that are in this episode weren't established until later in the original series, which I totally should have known because one of my favorite episodes involves Shipwreck, who is established in the series and wasn't established until later in the original G.I. Joe series. And no, I didn't wonder why the story was weird and wasn't what I remembered the first episode of being. And no, I didn't double check the title to see that it was Further Adventures of G.I. Joe rather than G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero. And no, I didn't get really lazy, but also extremely intrigued in this episode, so I didn't click off of it and decided to continue with this anyways. That did not happen, and you can't prove that. Anyways, we start off with Shipwreck flying a plane, which should have been an automatic teller for me, as I said before. Am I stupid?
I think I'm picking up enemy readings.
Also, why the fuck is he flying a plane? I'm pretty sure he does not have the credentials to be doing this, and he certainly doesn't have the equipment. He's just in his sailor outfit. This dude is a Navy SEAL, not a pilot. They are escorting the space shuttle to a launch site so that it can launch, and they have a strong suspicion that Cobra is going to try and steal it, which then prompts Cobra to try and steal it.
Uh-oh, battle alert! We got snakes in the dirt!
Cobra, circle the launch site!
Cobra comes out of these giant holes in the ground that they use to hide all their tanks. There are these giant mounds of dirt and everything all around the space shuttle, and they throw a bunch of lines over the space shuttle, kind of creating a net so the space shuttle can't exactly lift high enough in the air or break the net or anything, which that's how that works. Apparently Flint hears Cobra Commander off in the distance after he's 40 to 100 feet in the air.
G.I. Joe is completely disoriented. This space shuttle will be mine! Mine! Mine!
Wrong again, Chrome Cheeks!
And he comes down and he slices actually, Cobra's tank in half, his armored tank with the wing of a jet. You know, the physics in this really make sense. Don't get me wrong, though. I still love this show. And I was all over this episode. Anyways, G.I. Joe anticipates Cobra's plan, and Cobra questions heavily on how they did this.
No! G.I. Joe was ready for us! How dare they anticipate my strategy!
Dude, you fucking built dirt mounds around the space shuttle. How are they not going to realize this? This is a heavily guarded, like, military base. Obviously, they were ready for you. So, Cobra and the Crimson Twins get away in these giant water robots. Roadblock, Snake Eyes, and Shipwreck all go after them. Shipwreck is, you know, fairly complaining about how the military is making him do all these ridiculous things because he doesn't have the credentials for it. He doesn't know what he's doing.
First they want me to fly, now they want me to dive. The minute they ask me to dance, I'm getting out of this outfit.
And that's apparent to the fact that, like, as soon as he fights the water robots, him and Snake Eyes both instantly get decimated.
Look out! Man underboard!
Pull out! Snake Eyes!
So I don't know what the military's thinking, but they're just putting these people in these very dangerous situations they don't have really much experience in, from my understanding. Cobra and the Crimson Twins, they go run off after Snake Eyes and Shipwreck get decimated by these giant water robots. They go after Cobra and the twins, leaving Roadblock behind. They don't even tell Roadblock they're leaving. For all Roadblock knows, these guys are dead, which he almost dies fighting these water robots after being sucked in and thrown out of the water. We learned that failing was Cobra's plan to succeed, actually. Obviously, you know, I knew that.
My scheme was even more brilliant than usual. The attack on the space shuttle was merely a diversion to mask our true purpose.
Especially after his meltdown about surrendering and everything.
How dare they anticipate my strategy? Stop surrendering and listen to me!
He had Zartan, the Master of Disguise, and his crew hidden aboard the ship with the cargo that he's supposed to activate. Joe's only figured this out because apparently there's this slight misalignment and it's making it very difficult to park, even though I'm pretty sure this is only a couple extra pounds on like a 20,000 ton fucking spaceship.
Level off, Mutt. You're out of trim. That's better. Unauthorized cargo's making this Pelican hard to park.
They go searching for that cargo, leaving Dusty in charge, who has never been in charge in his life, apparently.
Too much. My first assignment on Delta, and I've got command responsibilities.
So again, why are they doing this to these poor Joes? They don't know what they're doing. Here's a thought. Maybe actually use Joes that have the credentials to do this kind of job. There is 100% a crew for space. It is Duke, Hawk, Heavy Duty, Robo Joe, and Rock and Roll. I don't know half of those ones, but you have a team for this. And you didn't put them aboard the space shuttle. The Joes find one of the cargo holders, and it opens it up to find some really adorably cute aliens. They don't really question it, and Scarlet specifically starts like cuddling one, being like, "Oh, this is so adorable, oh my goodness." Even after a note that they found from Cobra Commander It's from Cobra Commander.
These adorable creatures are called fatal fluffies. I'm sure you will enjoy their deadly secret. Sincerely yours, the Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander? Is he fatal fluffies? What the heck is going on?
What does he mean? Deadly secret?
Dude, you are in the military. This is the second series of G.I. Joe. You should be smarter than this. I feel like she totally jeopardized the mission. Actually, everybody did, because nobody believed that these guys could do anything. Nobody was like, oh, let's lock these guys up, actually, because, you know, it's from Cobra Commander, the known terrorist, and we don't know what the fuck they are. The only sane person is the dog.
What's with Junkyard, Mutt?
These little honeys are harmless.
But nobody believes him because he's a dog, even though he's never wrong. Zartan comes out and, you know, blows a whistle, which then makes these guys dangerous. They turn them into giant fire-breathing minotaurs, something that looks like from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. We cut back to Snake Eyes and Shipwreck, who have stolen some uniforms, disguised themselves as Cobra soldiers, jumped on a subway, and because, you know, obviously they don't belong because one has a parrot, one has a Timberwolf, Shipwreck decides the best way to direct suspicion away from them is to make it look like they're just crazy. Which, it works, so I'll hand them that.
Try not to attract attention. Sure, who'd notice a wet sailor with a parrot and a silent masked man with a Timberwolf? Ah, nice day, huh? Or nice night. Who cares down here, right? Am I right? You see, nobody wants to know a subway philosopher. Now try to relax and act natural. Now, on second thought, just enjoy the ride.
They then fail a voice test and, you know, are about to die like one does in one of these kinds of shows. Those shows didn't really stand the test of time with animation and storytelling as much because there's a lot going on in them. There's so much. So, you know, animators were very, very confined to stuff. I don't know what happened with the script at times. It, you know, rushed. Both shows have weird just moments where people just monologue or just say things just to say it, not for really any other particular reason. But that's all 80s shows. They just say things just to say it so that you as a viewer know what's going on. Editor Jaden here. Even under the time constraints that these animators had, it was still really good animation. There's a lot of still frames. That's mostly what I criticize. Lots of still frames, or it's funky how they do something every once in a while. It even happens in this next show I'm going to show you, Ninja Turtles. It's my absolute favorite, and I was rewatching it thinking it was going to not stand the test of time as much as these other two were, but holy crap, it totally does. And I remember Season 2. Season 2 just has as many bad and good moments as Transformers and G.I. Joe. It kind of starts going into that more rushed feeling. But, like, this first season is actually really cool. It made for a slightly more mature audience than a 5-year-old. I was hungry because I have been recording for 2 hours. So I got some turkey meat. Don't judge me. I don't really have a lot else right now, and I don't feel like going to the store. So I'm gonna enjoy my turkey meat. We first meet these felons who decide to use their amazing talent to strip a car in mere seconds, less than seconds. We then see this guy who just gets casually vandalized by some people and just brushes it off as if it's just an everyday occurrence. Which begs the question, is this an everyday occurrence in New York? Because April O'Neil certainly thinks so.
Crime. It's something we take for granted. It's simply a day-to-day fact of life in the big city.
I've never really been to a city bigger than Reno. This is a question to Jay Schlatt or whoever else lives in New York. Does this happen? I'm very curious. Does this actually happen? But, you know, enough of that crazy crime that's going on. Here's some very expensive scientific equipment that was stolen last night and told to us by Raphael. Oh, wait, just some dude.
3 scientific equipment companies, 3 robberies, and what was stolen?
2 positron accelerators, 4 reverse flux polarity indicators, and 1 parabolic sine wave generator.
And what does all that equipment do?
I have absolutely no idea.
I just love how this guy tells it as it is. He's just a store clerk that was hired last week. He doesn't know shit. They then go to an investigator who's at the scene of the crime, which I would think that he prepared everything beforehand, you know? So what happens next is very interesting. He finds all these katana marks and everything on the walls, and he chalks everything up to it being ninjas. Those could be like any kind of sword.
And look at this rope. This can only be the work of ninjas, the ancient band of Japanese warriors.
And how can you tell that from the rope, Professor?
Well, look for yourself. It's made in Japan.
Oh, the rope is from Japan. That makes sense. By the way, while they're doing this interview that, you know, they prepped for, there is a guard who's actively tied up and trying to ask for help, and they are not doing anything about it. This show will stay #1 in my hearts. I cannot make any of this shit up. April and her film crew finish wrapping up and then get jumped by a bunch of goons that Vernon so clearly predicted would happen.
April, we've got $1 million in state-of-the-art equipment here. I'm not gonna let it sit around in the street in the dead of the night.
But April didn't want to believe it. I mean, who'd want to hurt us? I don't know, maybe the fucking people you're reporting on. The whole film crew runs away, leaving April just to fend for herself against, I think, 10 goons. I swear, half the season 1 cast is just voiced by the main cast of the Ninja Turtles, which I absolutely love.
I think I left the iron on in my apartment.
Yeah, I just remembered roller derbies on TV tonight.
Oh, and I got an appointment with my dentist.
The goons chase her down. April slips into a sewer grate, and the goons try to rip up the cement from the sewer grate, which obviously is not very smart, and we can tell who's really calling the shots here. One of them finally points to a manhole.
Over there!
April gets concerningly excited about them trying to kill her.
This is great! I must really be onto something hot if they're trying to kill me!
And gets so excited that she runs into a wall, which then prompts the goons to be able to catch up to her.
Sign off time, April O'Neil.
So good job on that, April. The Ninja Turtles then proceed to beat up the goons. The goon that is Rocksteady gets really pissed at the stick, and he tries to beat up the stick rather than the thing that's holding the stick.
Oh, whoever you are dead.
I feel really bad for Bebop because he just gets his chain yanked, and he looks so sad. It looked like his life was just ripped away from him. The Turtles then reveal themselves to April, who is obviously in shock. Raphael insults her.
I don't know who you are, but thanks. You're not human.
Bingo. Yeah, we're dealing with a real mind here.
Which I like to think was some sort of vicious mockery because she then faints afterwards.
I can't handle this.
And then we see that Shredder's been watching this whole time on this big giant monitor. And I'll tell you why that's confusing later, that he sees the turtles but doesn't know that they're turtles. That's for a little bit later in the story. April wakes up and instantly passes out after seeing Splinter, you know, a giant rat.
Where am I?
Some hot tea?
I don't believe this. Oh.
And I see this as perfectly acceptable, but apparently the turtles, specifically Raphael, doesn't.
I wish you'd stop doing that.
They find this very offensive.
Come on, lady, wake up! Hey, it's tough trying to carry on a conversation with you, you know?
These guys are not sympathetic to her fears at all, except Splinter. Splinter offers her some food, helps her recover, and answers any and all questions she has. Splinter gives a backstory about how he was in a dojo with a man called Orokosaki, who basically has been trying to usurp his leadership for like forever, while a very highly ranked sensei comes to the dojo to visit them, stabs Splinter's robe to the wall so that Splinter has a hard time bowing. They find this very offensive, so Splinter is trying to figure out why he can't bow. He grabs the knife out of his kimono, and they think that he's trying to kill the master. So, in the very wise words of the master,
For this misdeed you should be banished from the Foot Clan altogether.
What say you, all-wise sensei?
Oh, okay. I say, throw the bomb out.
Splinter fled to America, where he befriended some rats and some turtles in a sewer because he's poor and broke. So he's living the American dream, as we all do. One day he finds the turtles swimming in some ooze. He tries to clean them off, but then finds that it turned them into half people, half turtle, and him into half person, half rat. He trained them to become ninjas, and April takes this as, oh, so you guys must have committed these crimes. And they're just like, whoa, no, we didn't commit these crimes.
So, what do you think?
I think you committed those robberies.
Wait a minute, did I miss something here? Ain't you up on current events, lady? We just saved your life.
The thieves were ninjas, pal.
Well, yeah, but were they turtles?
It doesn't matter. You're still news.
No way. You put us on TV and every scientist in town will be after us.
So I don't know if I should blame them for what happens next. They kidnap April so that she can't tell anybody.
Hey, we spent half our lives crawling around the bottom of a glass bowl, and we ain't going back.
Which means you're staying here until we work this out.
Hey, I got it! She stays here with us for the rest of her life. Try again, Mr. Wizard.
They eventually do come to a compromise about helping April if they help her find a cure for Splinter's condition.
Look, why don't we just find these ninja thieves for her? And perhaps she could help us find a cure for Splinter's condition.
If you get me my story.
We'll get your story. Just make sure you leave us out of it.
Which is never, in the history of ever, mentioned in the series ever again. Raphael is extremely racist towards April. Like, oh my goodness, he's such a dick.
Now wait a minute. She's gonna help us?
Yeah, so?
Well, no offense, lady, but, you're a human.
He doesn't pull his punches against April. We cut to April's boss, who is worried sick about missing a very important employee who is supposed to be doing some reporting on a lot of stuff that's been happening recently. But he totally roasts her, and I'm all for it, honestly. Like, he's brutal.
Where the devil's April? She's been gone almost a day.
Well, it's not like she was irreplaceable or anything.
Look at that. Another high-tech warehouse hit last night. This story's heating up, and I have to lose my second-best reporter.
April wasn't your second-best reporter.
Well, third best. Maybe.
Shredder gets his goons together and asks them, are these guys like reptiles? Are these turtles? This is the part where it confuses me, because he saw them on the monitor. I don't know why he's asking the goons if they were turtles, and I don't really understand why he's even asking in the first place, because later we find out that he recognized their fighting style and stuff like that as Hamato Yoshi's, which is Splinter. So he's like, oh, these are his pupils, right? But he didn't know that before. He wasn't aware of that. He didn't even have any suspicion of that, apparently, from my understanding. So did he just hear about some turtles that were hanging out in a sewer and just like, I must know if these are the turtles I've been hearing about, and he's just been obsessed with them this entire time?
Ninja pizza? Well, what do you know? Rock, dudes. Do you realize what this is?
The crucial piece of evidence we were looking for?
The clue which will lead us to the heart of the evil ninja empire? Nah, even better. It's a place where we can get some pizza. Right on!
You know, I feel very much the same about that. I want some pizza right now. I think after this I'm going to buy some pizza. So the turtles, then they tell April that, oh, we got a lot of experience with humans. Instantly, as soon as they get up to the surface, an old lady pulls a gun out on them.
Monsters! Relax, lady.
One twitch and your history, scum. Now back off, nice and easy.
So they decide to disguise themselves.
Yes, looking at you, kid.
They go to a ninja neighborhood find it very suspicious, but instead of turning and walking the other way or investigating, the turtles decide just to go get the pizza and stuff like that. April still has her little funny feeling, so she goes investigating. Which then she finds out that all the robberies are made by this one corporation that's supposed to be providing security for all these scientific firms, but instead it's just robbing them blind.
Why, of course we can help. We offer protection to many scientific firms throughout the city. Security Team C, report to reception. I got another scientific equipment company lined up, just waiting to be cleaned out.
I found him. Send a camera crew to...
I feel like the police should have put 2 and 2 together at this point. So the turtles find her wallet, and Raphael finds a wad of her chewing gum, which he is 100% certain is hers.
Yeah, I'd know that wad of used chewing gum anywhere.
Which makes me wonder, what did they do in the sewers? Never mind, I don't want to know. They track April up to the rooftops, which, surprise, it's a trap.
Careful, Raphael. It could be a trap.
Yep. It's a trap.
They fight some of the Foot Clan and find out that the Foot Clan is actually a bunch of robots, so that they can actually go all out and kill them. Which they do. They chase some of the Foot Clan that ran away into a building, and they see Shredder's face on a giant monitor, a bunch of giant monitors, which I'm just curious, what is that used for? Because these monitors are in a hallway. Mind you, these are just in a random hallway, and it doesn't even look like you can really communicate back and forth with them. It's just so people could stare at him whenever he feels like it. The Shredder confirms that these turtles were trained under Master Splinter, gets freaked out, tells all the Foot Clan to go back to the Technodrome because he doesn't want the turtles finding the Technodrome, so he floods the whole place. He doesn't even realize that the turtles can breathe underwater and could totally find the Technodrome if they felt like it. Which they don't, because April can't breathe underwater. Which I find funny because they mention that after the fact that they realize that they can breathe underwater.
Got to get to safety. We'll drown. Hey, what are we worrying about? We're turtles.
Which Donatello points that out, and that makes me very disappointed in Donatello. Like, what the hell? They go back to the sewers after they save April, show Splinter the outfits of the Foot Clan, and Splinter's like, oh my goodness, this is the Foot Clan! And the turtles are just like, oh, okay, cool. April's like, what the heck? This is like seriously big news. Like, this, you should take this more seriously. And the turtles respond by eating pizza, which is what I'm going to do now. So did these shows stand the test of time? Did they show me that these companies weren't just trying to sell toys? No, absolutely not. But were they great? Fuck yeah. I'm gonna watch these. I'm gonna watch the heck out of these. I haven't watched these in years, and now I just want to binge it. These, like, especially the G.I. Joe one, it's just insane. These had really good plots. Fun dialogue, just really stupid, cheesy humor that I remember and love. They actually did the cheesy in a good way. Most of the time, they just leaned into the cheesy like they did in G.I. Joe with Shipwreck, and basically all of Ninja Turtles. If you like this video, check out these ones. They're not weird. I swear. Okay, bye.